I'm coming in loud and clear. Might hear me on the radio. Breaker, breaker, 19. Anybody got their ears on?
Hey guys, it's Eric here at Farpoint, and tonight I wanted to make a video that's going to cover the 2 or maybe 2.5 main reasons why you should consider getting into CB radio. So while this won't be the shortest video I've ever made, hopefully it will be the simplest guide to why you want to get CB radio. So let's get started. The first thing I want to talk about is why. Why do you want to get CB radio here in the future, right? It's 2023 when I'm filming this, or almost 2023. Why would I want to make an investment in this antiquated technology, right? And there are 2 reasons, with maybe a third one slipped in there at the end. The number one reason is communications. And you're going to say, yeah, well, obviously two-way communication, it's two-way radio. No, hear me out. We're in this connected age. We have cell phones with texting and phone calls at our fingertips. We have AM, FM, we have HD radio, we have GPS to guide us. We have all this stuff that modern cars and modern people carry on them. And you would think that this can't possibly replace any of it. But it actually not only replaces, it fills a void that no technology that I'm aware of as of this moment does. And that is local information when you need it. That means you're driving down the road, and this is the number one reason I have these in all of my cars. You're driving down the road, and I'm not talking about a 5-lane highway, although it could be. I'm talking about a 2-lane back road, and you come to a dead stop in the middle of nowhere. There are cars as far as you can see around the corner and up the bend and off into the distance, and you don't know what's going on. And you sit. We're all patient for some amount of time, but after a few minutes, you realize this line hasn't budged an inch, and you haven't seen any cars coming this way. That's where CB comes in, that your cell phone can't tell you, that AM radio or FM radio or HD radio is just not going to report those kind of incidents on the spot. That you can get on your CB, you go on channel 19, you call out and say, hey man, I'm stuck here on 164 about 2 miles from the 16 overpass. What's going on? And somebody is going to come back and say, hey, I'm on the other side of that. Man, somebody dropped some lumber on the road. They're just about done cleaning it up. Hang tight, it'll be cleared within 5 minutes. Okay, now I have a reason to sit. Or maybe they come back and say, terrible wreck up here, man, and first responders aren't even here yet. You might want to turn around and take so-and-so road to so-and-so road. It's a great bypass. Those are 2 reasons right there that inside of it, do I wait or do I go, that a cell phone, that your regular car stereo, that a GPS can't tell you. And so that's the number one reason why you would still want to have one of these in your car to this day. It's saved me so many times I can't even count. From long trips out of state to just driving home at night on a road I've driven 100,000 times at this point, it comes in handy. Now the number 2 reason, well, it's kind of what you see here. It's a hobby. And it happens to be one of the most popular. It's really shooting up in popularity. You can tell by the amount of channels that are currently putting up videos about CB related content. It's a cool hobby. It's a way to make contact worldwide. CB is known mostly for its 4-watt amount of power, and that usually limits you to a range of 10 to 15, maybe 20 to 25 miles, depending on terrain. But there's this other half, which I'll get into here a little later on, called skip, and that's where your signal just flies up into the atmosphere and back down to some random location. And it is great to be able to hear this. Those are voices that are states and states away. And sometimes when the conditions are right, they may be countries and countries away. I regularly talk to Canada from North Carolina on 12 watts sideband or 4 watts AM. So it's a cool hobby, and it's much cheaper and easier to get into than ham. And I know there's a lot of ham guys out there that watch my channel, and you always get ticked off when I say this, but let's face facts. Ham radio is not an easy hobby to get into. You have to go through licensing. You have to spend a lot of money on equipment. You have to spend a lot of effort to get it all set up just right. And then you'll get exactly what you got here without a license, with very limited money invested. And honestly, there's a lot more people on this right now than there are on ham some days. And that's the number 2 reason. So you can get into it with a brand new radio for $100 to $120 that does everything. Or you can get into it on eBay for $22, which is this beautiful Radio Shack radio here, 40 channel AM. That was $22. It came with an antenna. So if you keep your eye on eBay, you can get a good deal. There's a third reason, and I'm going to touch on it just lightly, just a little bit. And that is preparedness. What if all those other things just stop working? What if all those other things go down? What if the cell tower systems go down? What if power goes out for such an extended period of time that the booster packs that hold those cell towers working just fade away? I lived through Hurricane Fran in the late 90s and mid 90s, I guess it was, and cell phones stopped working. On 9/11, cell phones stopped working. They overloaded the system because everyone was trying to reach out. And you could say, well, that was long ago, and you're right. But don't think that these things can't happen again. In 96, with Hurricane Fran, I used the radio you see right here to find out what gas stations still had gas when I was about to run out of gas, where we could go to find water. I couldn't find that out on the radio because the batteries were dead. I couldn't find that out on AM radio or FM radio because they were talking about the larger areas. We were out in the middle of nowhere. We went 14 days without power out there, and it took 7 before the roads were clear enough for me to even get in the car and get out. But I would go out to the car, which had about a half a tank. I'd fire it up and run it for a half hour every night, and I would listen, and I would talk, and I would find out what's going on outside of my little area. So there's your third reason. I'll see you next time, my friends. Take care.